What up, Vigilantes? So today I have a very special guest, and it's someone that is very special to the Crypto Vigilante family. And the reason why he's so special to the Crypto Vigilante family is because he's the newest member of the Crypto Vigilante family. From the time we launched the Crypto Vigilante, we considered only one advising firm in all of the crypto space to be our one and only competitor in the entire space. And if you're a Bitcoin or a crypto OG, you might have heard of this competing crypto advising firm, and that is Bull Bear Analytics. So Bull Bear Analytics has been throughout the history of crypto, probably the most highly respected professional technical analysis firm, having posted on the Bitcoin top forums since 2010, guys. That's a year after Satoshi launched the Genesis block. These guys were already posting on the Bitcoin talk forums. So out of this crew, who we at the Crypto Vigilante saw as their top analyst is Mr. W. So in our opinion, again, Mr. W was the top analyst of Bull Bear Analytics, and crypto investors throughout the world have followed Bull Bear Analytics and their crypto analysis for many years. BBA has been highly respected throughout all of crypto, and we at the Crypto Vigilante are extremely excited to finally let you know a little bit more about these mystery characters that we have behind the scenes. And Mr. W is part of our family. And again, he was, in our opinion, their top analyst. And it's our pleasure, and it is a blessing to us and to all of us here that he's now part of our family. So welcome, Mr. W. Thank you for being here with us. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Raphael. Doing great. Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And I'm loving being on the team and in the family, bro. It's been fantastic so far, and I'm looking forward to the future, bright future ahead. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm just very happy to finally start unveiling little by little these mystery characters behind behind the Crypto Vigilante family, right?
Totally.
And thank you for doing this, because your proof of work speaks for itself, right? There's a lot of charlatans out there and people that just, there's so much confusion out there in crypto. And when Jeff Berwick, pulled me aside and was like, Raph, let's get this going. This was like in 2013 when Ethereum announced that they were going to launch Ethereum at the Miami North American Bitcoin Conference in Miami Beach, Florida. This was 2013. And Jeff was like, man, let's do this Bitcoin Vigilante. We were going to call it the Bitcoin Vigilante. And I'm like, okay, great, Jeff. But if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And we're going to bring the best people in the world. And it's so good to know that it's happened. That right now, like, your presence on the team, Mr. W, is testament to that desire and to that vision that we had, because Mr. X and I, by far, we know Bull Bear Analytics, and we respected you guys, and we followed you specifically for many, many, many years. So to have you on the team was kind of like, wow, it's like, wow, we have Mr. W now. This is incredible. So
I love
happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I love it, and I just grind, man. I just love markets. I just love looking at markets and thinking about markets and writing about markets, and so it's a perfect fit.
So we have another treat for you guys here on this channel. Well, it turns out Mr. W, in his generosity, will be jumping in on this channel twice a month to give you guys free technical analysis. So thank you so much for doing that, Mr. W.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to share, some of my ideas and some of my analysis in real time. There's a lot more that goes into the analysis that I put out than shows. And a lot of it actually has to do with just watching price action. And I think it's going to be fun to do that with the members in real time, so they can kind of get a view into my thought process as I'm watching price materialize. That'll be neat.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, Mr. W puts out reports almost every day, and he does trade ideas, and wow. I mean, it's interesting because so the Crypto Vigilante newsletter is, in comparison to Bull Bear Analytics, it's a newer newsletter, and so a lot of people that are coming into crypto are rushing to the Crypto Vigilante and for help, and it's almost like we always find ourselves going back to basics, right? Going back to basics. We do a lot of hand holding. Maybe you can express maybe some of your experience with us, because I know that you're very, very. To us, you're the top technical analyst in crypto in the world, and it's interesting to watch you pull back and go into that teaching mode, right? I noticed that you constantly go back to that. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, and so and y'all do a much better job of that part than we did at BBA. Certainly, I mean, we were just a bunch of kind of wonky nerds who just were talking back and forth to each other, and I think that was one of the problems, is there was some deafness as far as new people and the fact that they need information in order to make good decisions, even if they're getting good information from us. And so I really appreciate that about the TDV and TCV, and yeah, I'm it's coming off of BBA. I'm trying to work on getting better at helping people with a lot of this stuff that is technical. I mean, that's I think that's where technical analysis comes from, and there's a lot of math behind it and stuff. And so I'm gonna do better. That's why we started doing the trade ideas, because I think that's a great way to give some actionable information to people that's not over anybody's head. But also we want to educate people as to what these things are, because there is some legitimate science behind it. And so I think it's important to give that too. And so, I'm just trying to do better on my part in the updates, the daily updates that I'm giving to kind of broaden out and give some links so people can get some info from that.
So I'm pretty sure many people watching this right now are rushing to their browser and Googling Bull Bear Analytics.
Probably.
What are they going to find?
Well, I mean, so I haven't been on the site in a while. We shut down the paid subscription service. There's still a small community that stays in touch, but and the assets were sold back to the founder, and so I think he's keeping the site open as a placeholder, and he's doing some analysis on his Twitter. But it's the company, as it existed before, it no longer exists.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because Bull Bear Analytics has such a beautiful place in every Bitcoin OG's heart. I mean, you guys were the first. I mean, you guys were 2010. Gosh,
yeah, I mean, so S3052. The real Bitcoin OG traders know, they hear that name and it's like you get goosebumps kind of. He's such a legend. But yeah, he started posting back in, I think it was like late 2010. And this is maybe like months after, Bitcoin started even having a price, I mean, it was just a plaything on the internet. And then, within like 6 to 12 months of it having any price whatsoever, this guy is posting technical analysis on the Bitcoin talk forums. I mean, that, I came in a little bit after that, but that blew me away that he was so prescient, not only about identifying the opportunity that was and is Bitcoin, but also to do TA on it. I mean, no, I don't think anybody had thought of that at that point.
It's like, so I've always seen intelligence as like a race. And I think that the strongest, and I see the human mind as like an amazing computer, right? And the smartest and the best of these computers win these races, right? In life, right? They figure things out before everyone else. Yeah. And so the smartest someone is, the faster they, the quicker they get there, right? So to have that vision and to see and to get to crypto early, I mean, says a lot. I think about someone like Jeff Berwick as well, right?
Yeah.
That he was like a lone wolf just yelling, look at this amazing technology, right? And Bull Bear Analytics was that as well for anyone that was into trading. I'm speechless. I'm very speechless. I mean, this is just phenomenal. And we're so blessed to have you on the team, Mr. W. We really, it's so cool to have you.
I'm so excited, man. Yeah, this is great. And y'all give me the opportunity to put out, good analysis at the, when I need to, when it's right. And when it's, I just love working with you guys. It's great, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah. So so I was let's talk about markets.
Let's talk
about markets.
Yeah.
So now that everyone knows the caliber of, because see, the funny thing is that people in the Crypto Vigilante, the subscribers, they've been getting things from Mr. W, but they never kind of understood like where they're getting it from, kind of like the type of person they were getting this from. So now that after they watch this, it's going to be, I think they're going to be paying more attention, but they pay attention. Everyone's glued on our channels constantly. But yeah. So given your experience of markets, what patterns are you seeing now that you've seen in the past?
Yeah. This is it's deja vu all over again. The price action, the patterns that are emerging, if you go back and look at the previous cycle from 2016, 2017, and even the one before that ended in 2013. If you look at the beginnings of those cycles, as price approaches the previous all-time high on the way back up after a multi-year bear market, it's eerie how similar everything is playing out. Now, I'm a little weary right now just because if you, again, go back and look at those charts, every time we get near or slightly above the previous all-time high, every other time there's been a 30 or 40% correction. And so we're getting into that zone, because Bitcoin's getting so much attention right now from institutions and retail is just now starting to get interested. I think you could have a blow off to 20-something thousand before that correction happens. But, I just think that that's the MO for these bull markets. It goes up more than you think it's going to, and then it'll crash harder than you think it's going to, but it's all happening. It's all happening so fast in these bull markets. And so, that's kind of where we can help people in terms of not over trading, but also providing, some opportunities for those that want to be a little bit more active. But we're in the early innings of this next cycle, and who knows where the top is, but it's way higher than 19,666. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Great. So guys, I'm completely geeking out here because I already told you why. And it's kind of like having like a fluffy pony right now that I'm talking to. So I'm geeking out because but that's an aside.
Fluffy pony's on a different pay grade than me.
But he does something different, right? This is the thing about cryptocurrency, right? It's that it's so interdisciplinary, right? It's not just one discipline, and it's not just, you can't just look at cryptocurrency from one science.
Yeah, that's true.
Cryptocurrency is something that brings the best out of everyone, and the best in the world rise to the top. So you have the best mathematicians, the best cryptographers, the best programmers, the best engineers, because if not, being a good programmer doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good engineer. You bring out the best entrepreneurs. You bring out the best technical analysts, right? The best fundamental analysts. Yeah. So it's just, and that's the crazy thing about money, is that money is the best of money allows you to cooperate best with people. And what cryptocurrency does is that it brings the best of people to cooperate with one another. So just to hear you talk, it's like, yes, sensei. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, he knows his shit, you know? It's like, because yeah, I'm glad to have you on the team, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And, you know, and I like that you say crypto, because cryptocurrencies, you know, what I just talked about was pretty specific to Bitcoin. But these cycles play out in the altcoins as well. They're almost just as reliable, especially in the ones that have a track record, that have been through a couple cycles, that have some liquidity, like a lot of the coins in the TCV portfolio, which we've been covering, and like some of the ones that we'll start to cover coming up with DeFi, hint, hint. So, you know, I think that there's lots of opportunities in space. Bitcoin's the one. Everybody, you know, that's what you're going to hear about on the news and stuff. But, you know, we're going to try to provide opportunities for people in some of these other markets. So, I think that we don't need to exclude them either.
So maybe I have a question. Kind of, I don't want to get into details because, of course, this is like what we do in the newsletter. But
yeah,
people talk about we're gonna have we have a Bitcoin rally, and then I guess that everyone has this popular like understanding that necessarily you should always expect for altcoins to rally behind Bitcoin. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah. So there are certain kind of inflection points during these cycles that are a little idiosyncratic, but generally speaking, you know, Bitcoin gets all the love and all the attention as it's going towards the all-time high and breaks the all-time high. It's Big Daddy BTC, you know, it's got the biggest market cap. Again, if you ever hear about crypto on CNBC, they're talking about, they got a Bitcoin chart up there. And so that, you know, that draws money into that specific asset, because that's what people see. That's what they're talking about. But then as Bitcoin goes to new highs and enters some of these consolidation phases, as it just has to do on the way up, nothing goes up in a straight line forever. We know that. And so then you know, like we were just talking about money as a way of, you know, getting humans to think about how to make more money. And so as people get into Bitcoin, they discover, oh, there's all these other coins that have different characteristics, that might even have different market profiles, that I might even be able to make more Bitcoin or more dollars trading those ones, because they're smaller, you know, just like people, some people are attracted to small cap stocks because they move more, and there's less coverage, there's less visibility. And so I feel like people can feel like they can get an edge more in those markets. And so it's the same thing. And so then once, you know, you get a wave of people come into Bitcoin, they see Bitcoin, and then they start looking into the altcoins that are on Gemini and Coinbase and Kraken, and they go, oh, wow, okay, I can trade these too just as easily. And I think that's where money starts flowing into the alts.
Awesome. So like right now, as we were filming this, the TDV Summit is going on. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's tdvsummit.com. You guys can go in and buy the videos and see all the videos from all the previous summits as well. The thing is that during the summit yesterday, I announced that we are having our DeFi watch list, spearheaded by Mr. W, who we think, obviously, like I already said, he's the dude, right? So Mr. W, maybe we can talk about, so now we're letting you guys know that this is going to be coming out in the very near future. Actually, today. So
later today.
Today. So if you want to be amongst the first in the world to see the TCV DeFi, decentralized finance watch list, which is the newest addition to our portfolio, you should become a subscriber. Mr. W, could you please speak a little bit about this?
Yeah, so it's such a new nascent space. There's a lot of risk involved, but we do see opportunity here. And I've been playing around with some of this stuff for, you know, the past maybe 4 to 6 months. And I think there's some promise here. And so what we decided to do is kind of just take maybe a little more of a tender approach. So we're not going to go outright and just make buy and sell calls on specific on specific ones right now, but what we have done is taken specific projects, a list of 10, and that's going to be our watch list. And so how we're going to use that watch list, we're going to take that watch list, and when, based on my technical analysis and Raphael's fundamental analysis, we'll be releasing, this analysis as we do it, but we'll use that to choose projects off the watch list that we think will go into the real TCV portfolio. And then we'll, those will be in the coverage universe, for me, for my updates. And so those will just go into rotation essentially, which I think is huge. And so, for kind of, I think some smaller, more interesting DeFi projects to be put alongside, an Ethereum and a chain link and the different Bitcoins. I think that'll be an interesting development to watch.
Yeah. And obviously you guys know we're here to educate. And so maybe if you could please allude to the importance of having that yin-yang approach to fundamental analysis and technical analysis, and how they're both important and how they're both necessary components of having a thorough, ongoing, critical conversation about this amazing technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that a lot of this is technical analysts, me being one, think that fundamentals are irrelevant, that the price action in the chart already has everything baked in. And I think maybe some guys can make that profitable, but I don't think that's how it works. And so the fundamental analysis is almost the most important part, especially if you're looking to put money into something, for more than a month, let's say, or, for any kind of time period where you're not just trying to capture gains off of volatility. You got to have the project has to have some value, has to have some merit. There has to be some credibility. I think that, we get lost, and also leadership, we get lost a lot of time in cryptocurrency is that, code is law. It's all about the code. Nothing matters but that, but communities and leadership and stuff matters in these projects too. And that all goes into fundamental analysis. Now you technical analysis on top of that. So once you have chosen a range of things that you think are worthwhile and valuable, then you use the TA to be like, okay, when do I buy and sell this thing? How do I actually capture the gains from the knowledge that I now have based off of the fundamental analysis? So they go hand in hand. I think they're as important. The fundamental analysis, actually, if you're a long-term investor, that's pretty much what you need. All you need is that and a long-term TA chart to tell you when to buy, and you can just hold it. But I think they're very complementary. There shouldn't be any kind of headbutting between the two sides or the two kinds of analysts. Me and you working together, it's gonna create way more value than just one of us trying to do it all our own.
So if you're a member of the Crypto Vigilante, or when you become a member of the Crypto Vigilante, you will find that one of our special reports was written by our head of research, the amazing Ed Bugos, and it's on the difference. And this treatise is on the difference between investing and trading, the difference between being an investor and a trader, because it's very important. Like Mr. W was just alluding to, if you, like he said, if you are holding long-term, fundamental analysis would be most important for you. Now, if you're on the other side of the spectrum, if you're someone that's just moving in and out fast, then technical analysis would more likely be more important to you. And maybe you can allude a little bit about maybe your opinion on the difference between trading and investing, Mr. W.
Yeah, that's a great point. And there's some debate about that even in the kind of the legacy circles. Does an investment have to provide a guaranteed rate of return? In my book, no, not necessarily. I think that that helps if you're a long-term investor to have a dividend or a bond coupon that you can rely on. But No, I view an investment more as like you said, a long something you believe in, that you understand, that you have done research about, that you're committed to, that you want to hold for a long time until some kind of, vision or goal is achieved by that company or asset. And you don't want to play the volatility, because it actually is dangerous. Now, trading is trading. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, that's just trying to play price fluctuations in the market, in order to create profits. And so you can you can also do that on a long-term scale. So you can trade long-term, and invest long-term, which I think a lot of Bitcoiners kind of feel like they do. But when it comes to kind of trading and, and in the daily updates, that's most of that is more for shorter term players who are trying to just capture gains from the market by, let's call it, price inefficiencies, i.e. volatility or fluctuations. And so that I think, and that's fine, but that takes a very specific skill and a lot of experience, I think. And so I would advise that a lot of people don't get roped into that trap unless they really know what they're doing. And especially at the beginning of a new bull market. I mean, really the best thing is to invest in crypto right now and see where we're at a year from now.
So it's important. Like I think something that I want to touch on real quick is that in cryptocurrency, there's this notion of people are so drawn to be like tribal within their own different like favorite cryptocurrency projects. And since we got started, Jeff and I were like, we need to have, as strong perspectives and very well argued perspectives part of the team. Jeff and I were part of more of the big, we sided more with the big blocker side of the Bitcoin debate and scaling debate. And it's so awesome that you and Mr. X are more small blockers. And I appreciate that so much, because it's so rare in cryptocurrency to find a place where you have small blockers and big blockers working together.
That's awesome. I mean, it's like it doesn't have, I mean, it's almost a kind of a like the exception that proves the rule kind of thing. It's like it's just not, it doesn't happen really. And I think it's great. It's so refreshing to have all the different perspectives from intelligent people. And I mean, that's just great for subscribers, Yeah,
it's like I don't like it's. I understand. So I remember when I was in school, I heard a professor once say, the most objective perspective that you can have in life is the realization that everyone comes to everything from their own subjective perspective.
Yeah.
So we all have our own subjective perspective, and in honoring that is how we all come to a synthesis of having a greater objective perspective. And I think that as analysts, and this is something that I love, Ed Bugos always just comes in constantly, and in our internal company chats, and he's always harping on the importance of being objective, like striving for that objectivity. And the beautiful thing about that I appreciate so much about technical analysis is that it's very objective. So yeah. Maybe if you could please speak about that, your experience of that, maybe your experience of that objectivity of the charts itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's practicing technical analysis over the past, what's it been? Geez, almost 20 years. It's forced me to be more objective about all these assets, because as you go through your kind of career of being a technical analyst, especially in the beginning, you're just wrong all the time. I mean, because you have these preconceived notions about what these assets should do, what you think they should do. And the market doesn't care about what I think it should do. It is like a, where else can you get 3 billion preferences happening all at the same time, in in milliseconds. I mean, I think it's just such a fascinating thing. And so to be a good technical analyst, I think you have to zoom out and forget biases and just focus on the chart, which is why I think a lot of TAs, sometimes I do this, you just take the ticker symbol off the chart. So you don't even know what it is. And then see what the chart looks like and kind of what it's telling you. And so it's a good practice, just I think, for anybody to just pull up a chart and just see what your brain tells you about it outside of any kind of bias, whether you like it or don't like it, or you like somebody involved in it, or, you know, whatever it is. I think that's it's a just interesting brain exercise, even if you don't know TA, to just look at a chart and be like, what is this, despite what I think, what is this really telling me? And so one of the reasons I love TA is because it is, you have to be objective in order to be good at it. And, you know, I think especially over the past 3 or 4 years, it's helped me become much less, like, as I like the word you use, tribal about these things. I don't view it, you know, like I used to back in 2013 when I thought the world would end if somebody started Ethereum.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? It's very interesting. I wonder if I wonder how much. I mean, crypto just makes me wonder about a lot of things, but it's just the, you know, we have some preferences at the Crypto Vigilante that obviously we can't talk about because they're only for subscribers. And I wonder when these preferences will catch on to the world. And I'm pretty sure you know what I'm referring to, because they're so magnificent of inventions and
it seems obvious. It seems, I mean, to us, it seems obvious, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe you can, I mean, I've always, so there's always been like a trap that I've always like been really, it makes me really like laugh because of being too early into something, right?
Oh,
or realizing something too early.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's been the story of my life. I feel like, you know, and I mean, and the saying in markets is when you're early, you're wrong. And so it's been something that I've struggled with my whole life. It sounds like you have too, where I just, you know, kind of when I see something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And then, you know, at least until Bitcoin, almost every time I would lose interest because I'm like, oh, nobody gets it. Nobody's going to get it. And then like 6 months later, everybody's doing it and talking about it. I'm like, oh crap. If I would have just stayed on board, then, you know, I could have rode this thing. And so I think it took something like Bitcoin that was so fascinating and captured such a part of kind of my belief set to keep me interested long enough to see it come to fruition, you know?
Yeah, it's like, and what's interesting is that someone that is like really, really seasoned, like Ed Bugos, like it's him and Jeff, like it's hilarious to me because, you know, we're OGs in crypto, right?
Yeah.
We're OGs in crypto. So we think we know things, but these guys have like experience, you know, before crypto, right? Like they're older, obviously. They're just older men. So they come at things from such a Zen perspective. It's like they just kind of like, and it's almost like they have this like, well, kind of no duh, like of course, like, or just gives us like they provide us such wise insight constantly that I feel as if I am being spoon-fed so much wisdom constantly from Ed Bugos and Jeff that it's like on markets that it's incredible. Maybe you could speak a little bit to your experience with Jeff and Ed thus far.
One sec. I got our dog walker is taking the dog out right now. So.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys. So I'm really enjoying this conversation because.
There we go. Sorry about that.
It's all good. Yeah, I'm just telling everyone that's listening right now that I'm really enjoying this conversation because it's a window into the dynamic that happens at the Crypto Vigilante. So you guys can see the way we jive and the way that we approach situations and the way we talk about things, not just from a very high level, but we do this on a micro scale and very detail oriented scale, especially working with someone so brilliant like Mr. X. He's so detailed oriented, right? And then we have, and since crypto is interdisciplinary, like we've been saying, it's important to have these conversations constantly. It's not something we just have once and just rest. The crypto, every time you get new information, the market changes completely, right? Every time there's new information put into the market changes. And you have to kind of, as in your research, in your study, you have to calibrate for those changes constantly. And those variables may seem to someone that is inexperienced inexperienced or not knowledgeable in a certain area, in a certain science, that change may not seem to be something significant, but to someone that is learned and someone that is an expert in that area, that change can mean the world. So for example, I'll give you guys an example. The fact that mining companies are now censoring BTC transactions for everyone, for any layperson in BTC, that might be something that is just like, oh, well, we knew Bitcoin was pseudonymous and just kind of like, well, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But when you talk to someone who is who's so rigorous about privacy like Mr. X, he will say like, wait a minute, these are the logical implications and conclusions of such a, what for someone else maybe such minuscule happening in the market. Someone like Mr. X would see this decades into the future and see the logical implications of this in a heartbeat. And then he would bring that insight, and then Mr. W would bring in his technical analysis and see the implications on a macro scale and on a micro scale in an instant, where someone that barely understands technical analysis, I mean, there's so many charlatans out there just charting things, and it's which is, to me, it's funny and it's kind of upsetting, because I think that you should approach things in life, in the universe, as with respect. And if you're not someone that is an actual expert, you shouldn't be saying that you are. You know what I mean? Because I find people that know the most to be the most humble of people. And to me, humility is truth. So,
well, I mean, getting back to Jeff and Ed, I think that leads perfectly back into that. I mean, these guys have been ahead of the curve on so much of this stuff. And I've been watching Jeff's videos, since I got into Bitcoin. I mean, he was one of the guys that, I would kind of look to early in my crypto journey, as somebody who was respected and somebody that I could, get good information from. And so this goes way back. I've been following you guys for a long time, and so Jeff, although I don't know him personally yet, I mean, it just seems like the neatest guy, humble, and very perceptive, and also, like Mr. X, I think he sees these things, especially with regard to privacy and stuff, and has for a long time. I mean, dollar vigilante is kind of just speaks for itself, I think. Ed, I'm just getting to know, but I mean, his analysis is so phenomenal. You can tell he has so much experience, that, especially from a macro perspective, I'm already learning a ton.
And it's so interesting, right? That we find ourselves at times making a big deal about something that everyone in crypto, all OGs maybe making a big deal about in the market, any change, right? And then Ed and Jeff would come in, and then we'll just bring so much clarity because of their experience to us that it completely changes like the ball game. And that in itself puts us so far ahead of the rest of the world in crypto, because you have people that are not just experienced, but they've been, contrarian, right? Like Ed and Jeff have been contrarian because they understand. It's almost like these Austrians and these libertarians and these anarcho-capitalists like Jeff and Ed, they have experience, not just experience in the market, but they have experience with the notion of being comfortable with human beings being completely free, right? So psychologically, on a psychological level, they're comfortable with humanity being free, and they see humanity as good, not something to be restrained or enslaved, like what's subliminally, believed in the not mainstream. Most people are awesome, but I mean, in the powers that shouldn't be, right? And these guys are comfortable with that. So when cryptocurrency comes in, they see, oh, well, this makes perfect sense, right? For them, it makes perfect sense that cryptocurrency is a place where human beings can interact peacefully with one another in complete freedom. So they've already made that logical and psychological, that process, they've already gone through that process, added to their experience. Whereas someone who is in mainstream finance and is now just coming into crypto, but is not a libertarian, is not versed in Austrian economics, will come in and they will see the benefits of cryptocurrency and they're like, wow, crypto's great. But there is that logical and psychological trap within their mind that I see that Jeff and Ed don't have, which is that they're still kind of uncomfortable with the notion of humanity being completely free. And how, in a sense, messed up is that, right? That most people out there in mainstream finance and business have been indoctrinated throughout history to think that it's necessary, it's normal, and it's almost a must-have that people be constrained and constantly live under the thumb of some coercion of some sort, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like they expect it. It's almost like if you don't bend the knee to absolute authority, you are not worthy of participating in the market. And that's kind of like instilled so deep into so many people that it's in a sense kind of scary. I mean, the level of compliance indoctrination that people get in business school is crazy. But when you have someone that has gone through that healing process, and I see it as a healing from a traumatic experience of realizing that they've been that they're in a world where this abusive relationship is promoted, and they've already gone through that. It's so easy for them to see cryptocurrency and like, oh yeah, well, that makes perfect sense, and this is the logical conclusions of that because I've studied it. I've gone through the mental work of acknowledging, accepting that humanity is awesome and that people should be free, and that person is comfortable with humanity being free. So, like, having Ed and Jeff is so amazing. I mean, it's so amazing to us. Yeah, sorry, I kind of went on a little rant there, but
no, I like where you're going to with that, especially as like far as people being used to living under certain conditions, especially like financial conditions. And I think going back as a little tease to DeFi, I think that's why DeFi, decentralized finance, this kind of new wave of projects that tries to disintermediate the traditional legacy players, the banks, the asset managers, the derivatives markets. I think that, that's why it's getting so much play, is because people are like, oh, wow, I can actually go into a lending market without having to walk into a bank. I think that the idea of that, even if we're not there as far as full functionality, that idea is very attractive to a lot of people.
And it's very attractive. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I mean, we're cautious because when a new innovation happens in crypto, you have to be cautious because there's a lot of, unfortunately, this market attracts a lot of scammers. And that's one of the reasons we created the Crypto Vigilantes is because we love this technology and we want to help good people. navigate through our research and our study, navigate this new space.
Yeah.
And people may have been like, well, you guys didn't jump into this bandwagon sooner than you could have. And it's like, no, you have to be kind of prudent. You have to really do your due diligence. You can't just jump into the first thing that, and our responsibility is to be thorough in our research. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah. I mean, just as far as putting only the watch list together, not even what, the amount of research that's going to go into, choosing what actually goes into the portfolio, but just getting the watch list together took 2 months. It took 2 months for me to really pare down to what I think are some of the projects with some, sustainability and some real growth. And so, you can't just pop in and, go on crypto Twitter and, get the hottest hashtag and then think you're going to make a ton of money off it. It's just because that, that a lot of people get pulled into doing that. But I mean, that's not how you really make money in these markets. You do it by watching, by being slow, by being prudent, by being disciplined. And then when the time comes, then you strike. But again, it's not about cash tags on Twitter and the newest ETH contract that everybody's talking about. That's named after a food, by the way.
Oh man, so you're telling us that crypto Twitter is not the oracle of the world? Gosh, man, that's really disappointing.
Just for anybody out there, just as a caution, there's some very talented people on crypto Twitter, but there's also a lot of noise.
Awesome. I was telling, while you were gone for a second with your dog walker, I was telling everyone that I'm really happy about this conversation because, and I like it so much. I like driving with you so much that I actually would like to maybe have you back in the future.
Sure.
I think pretty sure the people in the comments will want that as well, because I feel that this is a great, you bring in a perspective that is, your technical perspective is just amazing. So
thank
Mr.
you.
W, thank you. Yes, sir?
I love doing it. It's my passion and especially doing it with a group of guys that I get along with so well. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, Mr. W, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, I could ask him more questions, but the truth is that he's going to be on this channel and he's going to be having his own videos here where he's going to be giving you guys tips and of tips of his trade. So yeah,
we're going to be learning together. I'm going to be doing some teaching. We'll do some fib stuff and some timing stuff, and people will get a lot out of it, I think.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. W. And yeah, peace, love, anarchy, guys. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, Raphael.
Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.